What if I told you that in 2026, a college football team with three, maybe even four losses is mathematically superior to a team that went perfectly undefeated?
I mean, it completely breaks the paradigm, right?
Yeah.
It changes how we've valued winning for literally the last 100 years. We are
Yeah.
stepping into this new era where the traditional win-loss record might actually just lie to you.
Welcome to another deep dive. Today, we are tearing into a structural anomaly that has fundamentally broken the architecture of college sports.
Yeah, we have a massive stack of journalism on the table for this one.
We really do. We're looking at deep analyses from Sports Illustrated, Athlon Sports, Dave Campbell's Texas Football, College Football News, and FB schedules.
And our mission today is to figure out exactly why the 2026 season features some of the most just brutal, punishing schedules in the history of the sport.
Right, and we are zooming in specifically on two programs facing absolute bloodbaths, the Texas Longhorns and the Arkansas
Which
Razorbacks.
is fascinating.
It is. And hey, even if you aren't tracking the daily recruiting cycles, stick with us. We're looking at a fascinating case study in how human beings process zero margin for error environments and, handle insanely stacked odds.
Yeah, it's about survival.
Exactly. So, okay, let's unpack this. Before we look at Texas or Arkansas, we need to understand the architecture of this season. Why are the schedules mathematically so much harder this year?
Well, the overarching driver here is the SEC moving to a 9-game conference format. By adding that ninth conference game, the league has basically cannibalized its own schedules.
Right.
Historically, teams relied on a late-season out-of-conference game. A smaller school they could essentially use as a glorified scrimmage.
Like a palate cleanser before rivalry week?
Exactly. They use it to rest their starters, heal up bruised shoulders, recalibrate. But that buffer is gone now. They're playing a heavyweight week in and week out.
I want to look at the mechanics of how we actually measure that difficulty, because the sources keep bringing up Phil Steele's preseason rankings, and his methodology seems, terrifyingly precise compared to just a standard media poll.
Oh, it is. What's fascinating here is that Steele completely discards last year's win-loss records as a baseline.
Wait, he just tosses them out entirely.
Completely.
Yeah.
Because win-loss records can be incredibly deceptive. I mean, they don't account for a team catching lucky breaks or winning one-score games on flukes or just benefiting from a weak division.
Right, that makes sense.
So instead, Steele builds his strength of schedule by combining 9 different sets of power ratings.
9 separate models just to figure out who is actually good.
Yeah, because a single model might have a blind spot.
Hmm.
Like one model might over-index on offensive yardage while ignoring garbage time.
Sure.
Another might overvalue defensive efficiency, but completely forget to factor in the pace of play. By aggregating 9 distinct analytical models, Steele strips away all that subjective hype.
Which is so necessary in college football.
Totally. And then he overlays that data with home and away splits, which is crucial. Playing a top-tier team in a neutral site dome is a completely different mathematical proposition than playing that exact same team in their home stadium at night in November.
Oh, absolutely. The environment is half the battle.
Exactly. So when you run the 2026 matchups through a filter that rigorous, the results are just staggering. 14 of Steele's top 25 toughest schedules in the entire country belong to SEC teams.
14 out of 25. More than half the list is concentrated in a single conference. That is insane.
And 24/7 sports projects, the college football playoff contenders this year, will face up to 8 preseason top 25 teams.
8.
8. The new reality, according to the math, is that a team can really only afford 2, maybe 3 losses if they want to survive.
It's like going from playing a regular basketball season to playing the NBA All-Star team every single Tuesday. You just never get a chance to ice your knees.
That's a great way to put it.
But I have to ask, does a 9-game schedule inherently punish these teams by handing them more losses? Or is this actually like a brilliant piece of leverage?
How so?
Because with a 12-team playoff, doesn't manufacturing an absurdly tough strength of schedule basically guarantee them those lucrative playoff TV spots?
Uh-huh.
If the whole conference is playing a bloodbath, a 3-loss team looks like a battle-tested survivor rather than a failure.
Yeah, no, you hit the nail on the head. If we connect this to the bigger picture, you're looking at a massive high-stakes gamble on brand equity.
Okay.
The conference is betting that the playoff selection committee will respect their internal strength of schedule so much that they will essentially just write off a few losses.
Right, they're forcing the committee's hand.
Exactly. The calculus is that the committee will look at a 9-3 team that ran this absolute gauntlet and confidently select them over an 11-1 team from a conference that played a softer schedule. They're leveraging their own brutality into playoff security.
Wow. Okay, so we've seen what this macro level math looks like on paper, but I really want to transition to the human cost here. Let's look at the program, arguably thrown into the deepest end of this pool, the Arkansas
Oh,
Razorbacks.
man. Yeah.
I saw Sports Illustrated rank their schedule as the second toughest in the nation, and Phil Steele actually has them at number 4. We have a first-year head coach here in Ryan Silverfield.
Right.
What does stepping into this specific gauntlet actually look like for a staff that is just trying to build a foundation?
Well, Silverfield is stepping into a near-impossible psychological and tactical bind. I mean, he built a highly respectable 50-25 record over at Memphis. He clearly understands program management.
Right, he's a proven winner.
He is. But the jump from Memphis to the 2026 SEC is exponential. He inherits an Arkansas roster with a highly capable offense, but a defensive unit that just bled yardage last year.
Yeah, they really struggle.
And when your defense is a liability, playing a schedule built purely out of heavyweights is just a recipe for physical collapse.
I was looking at their calendar, and the pacing is just relentless. September alone feels like a whole season's worth of damage.
Oh, it's brutal. They open with a road trip to number 18, Utah. And the physiological toll of that single game is immense. You are traveling 2 time zones away to play at altitude.
Right, the altitude is huge.
The oxygen depletion in the fourth quarter is a real measurable factor that leaves athletes physically drained for days afterward.
And they don't get a bye week to recover from that altitude, do they?
Far from it. They fly back to Fayetteville and immediately host number 3 Georgia the very next Saturday.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And Georgia traditionally features the heaviest, most physically punishing defensive line in the sport.
Yeah.
So you're taking a roster still dealing with the lactic acid and fatigue of a high-altitude road game and subjecting them to a literal trench war against a title contender.
And the hits just keep coming after that. I mean, they have to travel to number 10, Texas A&M, then come home to face number 25, Tennessee.
And the back half of the year offers zero relief. They have Missouri, a brutal road game at Auburn, and they close out against LSU.
So what does this all mean for Silverfield's job security? I mean, if you are an athletic director and you hand your brand new coach the second hardest schedule in the country, do you give him a free pass for a 6-win season? Or is the margin for error still razor thin in this environment?
That is the million-dollar question. It raises an important point about the disconnect between analytical logic and, well, booster expectations.
Right.
A perfectly rational administration should look at a schedule featuring Utah, Georgia, Texas A&M, Tennessee, Auburn, and LSU, run the win probabilities, and realize that just getting to 6 wins in a bowl game is a monumental coaching achievement.
Right. 6 wins against that slate is a miracle.
Exactly. But rational analysis often just evaporates the moment a team loses by 30 points on national television.
The boosters really don't care about Phil Steele's power ratings when they're angry.
Precisely. A bad blowout loss or a failure to look competitive in the trenches against a team like Georgia can instantly vaporize a coach's honeymoon period.
Wow.
The schedule doesn't care if it's your first year implementing a new defensive scheme. The margin for error is non-existent because the financial stakes of modern college football demand immediate aesthetic competence, even if mathematical dominance is literally impossible.
That is just wild. So we've seen how this schedule actively threatens a rebuilding program like Arkansas. But what happens when this mathematical meat grinder collides with a team that has legitimate national championship expectations?
Oh, it's a totally different dynamic.
Right. Does the pressure break a title contender differently?
Yeah.
Let's pivot to the Texas Longhorns.
Texas provides a really fascinating contrast here because they actually have the roster talent to match the schedule. But the resistance they face is historically unprecedented.
How bad is it?
Across almost all our sources, Phil Steele, Sports Illustrated, Dave Campbell's Texas Football Texas is unanimously ranked as having the #1 hardest schedule in America.
Unanimous across the board. That is rare.
Yeah, when every single statistical model converges on the exact same conclusion, you are looking at an anomaly. 4 of their 12 regular season games are against teams that made the college football playoff in 2025.
Unbelievable.
They host Ohio State in Week 2. They play the Red River rivalry against Oklahoma in Dallas on October 10th. They face Ole Miss, plus road trips to LSU and Texas A&M.
But here's where it gets really interesting to me. They have Arch Manning at quarterback, and he's not just a famous last name anymore, you know?
No, not at all.
He's entering his third season, and the hypothetical hype has crystallized into elite on-field production.
Yeah, the offensive dynamics shift completely with a third-year Manning. I mean, look at last year, he put up, what, over 3,100 passing yards?
Yeah, 3,163 yards, a 61.4% completion rate, and 27 touchdowns.
Exactly. He understands the speed of the defensive backs in this league now. He understands pre-snap disguised coverages.
And he won the MVP of the Citrus Bowl. And people forget he ran for 155 yards in that game. We always talk about his arm, but that mobility completely changes how defensive coordinators have to scheme against Texas. You can't just blitz blindly if the quarterback can break the pocket and run for 40 yards.
A huge factor.
Athlon Sports noted his Heisman odds are currently sitting at plus 750, putting him right on the heels of Notre Dame's C.J. Carr.
And, the psychological motivation is also a key variable here. Manning has explicitly cited last year's 14-7 loss to Ohio State as the catalyst for his entire offseason preparation.
Really?
Yeah. He experienced what a playoff-caliber defense feels like when the margins are tight, and he's using that specific failure as the blueprint for his third year.
Wait, I was looking through the college football news breakdown, and I noticed something glaring.
What's that?
Texas actually dodges Alabama this year.
They do?
They dodge Georgia. They avoid Auburn, and they avoid Kentucky. If you manage to bypass the biggest, meanest bullies in the conference, how can the mathematical models possibly claim this is the toughest schedule in the country? Are we just falling for the Texas hype machine?
See, that is the exact skepticism you should have when looking at a raw list of opponents. When you see Alabama and Georgia missing, it instinctively feels like Texas caught a massive break.
Right. It feels like a cakewalk by SEC standards.
But the true brutality of a college football schedule isn't just who you play. It is where and when you play them. The physical layout of the Texas schedule, the sequential pacing, is a masterclass in compounding fatigue.
Oh, interesting. Sports Illustrated actually referred to this as the hidden problem. It's like a trapdoor built into the calendar.
Let's look at the geography of their first 2 months. Texas barely leaves the state early on. Before November hits, their only true hostile road environment is at Tennessee.
Okay.
The rest of the time, they are either in the comfort of their home stadium in Austin or playing neutral site games in Dallas where the crowd is split 50-50. They get to sleep in their own beds, eat their own food, and maintain a highly controlled environment.
So they get comfortable. You know, you've probably experienced this in your own life. When you power through a massive sprint at work, your body holds it together as long as the routine is predictable.
Oh, absolutely.
You're stressed, but you manage it. Then the moment your routine breaks or you have to travel for a conference, your immune system crashes and you get sick.
Yeah.
That is exactly what is happening to Texas, just scaled up to elite athletes.
That is a perfect physiological comparison. Because when the calendar flips to November, the routine violently shatters.
Yeah.
3 of their final 4 games are on the road in incredibly hostile environments at the exact moment in the season when bodies are heavily bruised and depth charts are depleted by injuries.
Let's walk through that November stretch because the pacing is just cruel. November 7th, they have a morning game at Missouri against Elia Drinkwitz.
Right, and because of their cozy early schedule, this is their first true road game in over 40 days. 40 days without dealing with a hostile crowd screaming on third down? 40 days without dealing with hotel beds, bus rides, and disrupted sleep cycles. Waking up for an 11 a.m. kickoff in a cold, loud SEC stadium completely disrupts a team's internal biological clock.
They will be sleepwalking through the first quarter.
Almost certainly.
Then it escalates. November 14th. They travel to Tiger Stadium to play LSU. Sports Illustrated flagged this as a potential flexible night game, which means 100,000 screaming fans under the lights.
Yeah.
And the detail that completely changes the complexion of this matchup. Lane Kiffin is the head coach at LSU now.
Oh, the Sarkisian versus Kiffin dynamic is a massive tactical storyline.
Right.
Steve Sarkisian hasn't faced Lane Kiffin as a head coach since their days in the Pac-12, back when Sark was at Washington and Kiffin was at USC. They have an extensive, intertwined history.
They know each other so well.
They know each other's offensive philosophies inside and out. They know each other's play-calling tendencies in high-leverage situations.
It turns into a high-speed chess match in front of the loudest crowd in the country.
And Kiffin thrives on chaos. Giving him a night game at Tiger Stadium against a top-ranked opponent is the ultimate wild card. He will have spent the entire offseason devising specific schematic traps for Arch Manning.
The team will be physically exhausted from that. Then, just a week later, November 21st, they come back to Austin to play Arkansas.
And as we just discussed, Ryan Silverfield's team will likely be backed into a corner by then, fighting for their absolute lives to salvage a bowl game or save their coach's job.
Right, a desperate team is a dangerous team.
They won't get a week off to recover from LSU. They have to immediately pivot to a gritty, physical game against an opponent that has absolutely nothing to lose.
And then the grand finale of this gauntlet, November 27th, Black Friday, 6:3 p.m. Central Time at Kyle Field against Texas A&M.
Yeah. Playing Kyle Field at night is intimidating enough. But playing it on a short week because it's a Friday game means the players lose a full 24 hours of physical recovery and film study.
It's like training for a marathon exclusively by running on a flat, climate-controlled treadmill for 3 months, and then on race day, you have to run the actual 26 miles uphill in a blizzard.
That's exactly what it is.
Your body just isn't prepared for the compounding shock of the environment.
The architecture of a schedule is a psychological and physical timeline. Texas unquestionably has the talent to win a national championship. Arch Manning has the talent to win a Heisman. The defensive line has the depth to compete with anyone.
Sure.
But can they survive a backloaded November where every single week requires maximum physical exertion, complex travel logistics, and flawless mental focus? That trap door is what makes this schedule the hardest in the country, even without Alabama or Georgia on the slate.
Man. So what does this all mean? Synthesizing everything we've looked at today across these sources, the 2026 landscape is fundamentally different from the college football we grew up watching.
Completely different.
The 9-game SEC format has effectively removed the safety net. It has engineered a zero margin for error environment.
It proves that ultimate success isn't just determined by the raw resources or talent you possess. It is deeply dictated by your ability to survive the structural gauntlets you are handed.
Right.
Whether it's Arkansas completely rebuilding and facing a relentless string of top 25 teams just to survive the month of September, or Texas aiming for a national title but walking blindly into a November trap door, the mathematical layout of the schedule dictates destiny.
But I want to leave you with a final provocative thought to mull over as this brutal season unfolds. We've established that these elite teams are mathematically guaranteed to cannibalize each other.
Right.
They are going to rack up 3, maybe 4 losses against these super schedules because the human body simply cannot sustain an undefeated run through that level of weekly trauma.
It's a statistical inevitability.
So when the College Football Playoff Committee sits down in a boardroom in December, will they eventually be forced to view a 4-loss SEC team? A team that survived the altitude at Utah, the trenches against Georgia, and the chaos of a night game at LSU as vastly superior to an undefeated team from a conference with a mathematical cakewalk schedule.
That's the real test.
Like, say, an undefeated Texas Tech team coming out of the Big 12. Does the 2026 season permanently break how we value the classic win-loss record?
It has to, right?
I think so. If the gauntlet is this severe, maybe we need to start caring if a team stumbles a few times and just reward them for making it to December in one piece. Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive. Keep questioning the structures around you. Keep an eye out for those hidden trapdoors in your own life, and we'll catch you next time.